Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading room. Let me get the screen share going on here, and we'll see what's going on in the markets this morning. All right, so we're looking at the NASDAQ here. And I'm also following the euro, dollar, and gold on my other monitor, but please don't be shy about requesting a market, or if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. The Eagle Trend Trader from the DTS system, just a real quick overview. This was yesterday's session. Really quiet and dull kind of day. You can see we didn't really go anywhere. This morning, we're starting off testing the highs of this trading range that seems to have developed. And we left off trading yesterday down here around the 64.10 zone and opening with a slight gap to the upside, opening around the 64.24-25 area. So we'll see whether traders try to fill that little bit of a gap, or if they even try to get outside of the sideways trading range that we're stuck in here at the moment. Still really early, of course. The market's just opening. Here on the Hawk Scalper, no, actually we didn't have a signal out of the open. That yellow bar spoiled our signal. Did get a couple decent signals in the overnight, but pretty slow day overall in the overnight trading. Technically, we're getting a macro pullback signal now in the Hawk Scalper, and it looks like we're going to get a late filter entry signal here in the Falcon as well. The Raptor not producing a signal just yet. We did get the cloud crossover signal here in the overnight, followed by a counter trend signal, which actually printed right at the profit objective, so that wasn't really worth taking. Then we came back with a with trend signal, a hard edge bounce that gave us a little bit of a follow through the overnight session. So it looks like the buyers are starting to lose their grip a little. Here on the Raptor, we've just seen a test of the extreme. This could produce a number 2 signal. That's the counter trend signal. Now, remember, when you're looking at a counter trend signal, there are 2 components to the signal. First off, you have to have a trend. So we have something resembling a small uptrend, and then you need to have a retest and a failure. So in this case, the retest is of the high, and so far it's unable to recover the highs, and therefore it may try to head lower. Anthony, good morning. Anthony's quite bullish here this morning. 66.10, he says, is his target. Wow, that's very ambitious. I don't know if we're going to see that today. $200 points in the NASDAQ, that would certainly be quite the day. All right, we didn't produce a signal, so the Raptor programming parameters haven't been met, but we're definitely getting a little bit more of a bearish flavor. It looks like they're trying to get maybe into that opening gap. I'm just going to have to let the dust settle a little bit here. All right, if you're really ambitious, we've got a first micro-macro cross lower on the hawk now. Now this is really an early entry. I might even look at taking it just below the lows there. But there's an opportunity for a little bit of a scalp, or even if you wanted to try to run this trade out a little bit. If they give me a second chance to set up this trade, I can put a runner in play. Now this is ambitious because we may see a bigger retest of the high, right? This is a little itty bitty retest here. And we're already into the hard edge on the Raptor. Whenever we encounter the hard edge, we should anticipate a reaction. It doesn't always mean that the market will recover the trend, but that a reaction is likely at any rate. Okay, now we're getting a better looking first micro macro cross lower here on the hawk. That's the hawk scalper. All right, the signal printing, I'll still look at taking it here below the lows. All right, there they go. Did they slip me? Nope, no slip. Let's see if we're getting a signal on the Raptor yet. No, not yet. So the hawk scalper a little bit early with the signal here. Ah, darn it. They just looked back far enough to tag me out at break even on that one. But I still like the potential. We'll just wait for another setup here, and then we'll try it again. See, we're into the second hard edge. So we may get another reaction because of that. When you get stopped out like that, it is viable to use these secondary signals as another place to get into the trade. You know, if you're looking for a spot to get in and you don't know where, you can always use a follow-up signal. Ideally, I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback here. I'd like to see the market move a little bit higher, maybe give me a macro pullback, maybe even a green bar sell. Here on the Falcon, that's going to produce a proper trend change signal. Here on the Raptor, it's going to come up here and perhaps produce a number 2 signal, providing, of course, the market is still heading lower, which at the moment certainly seems to be the bias. Oops, I got caught snoozing here. I looked away from my charts for a moment and we got our first in-sync eagle signal of the day right here. So the eagle giving us a bullish signal. We do have a chance at a second push entry on that one. And then here on the Raptor, we've also produced the number 3 signal, the hard edge bounce. That's a pretty decent push from the buyers. Getting back up now here near the highs of the overnight. Getting some bigger ranges, which is nice to see as well. These bigger ranges that you see will normally develop near tops and bottoms as well. That's something to keep a lookout for. These tiny little ranges, see how we have tiny little ranges here? It's usually a pretty safe bet that tiny little ranges will continue with the trend. Bigger ranges, when the market starts to get a lot more volatile, that's very often when we see reversals. So if we do produce a number 2 signal here off of this retest of the high, that would be something I might be interested in trying to sell. on, where are you? There it is. So I just punched in with a sell order because it developed very quickly here. And I'm currently, okay, I've got my runner in play. I've got my 50-50 split. And, got some positive slippage on that. That's always nice. Okay, we're going to hit the break-even trigger here in a moment, and hopefully they're not going to look too far back. Okay, so we banked profit on one. No! Oh, you stinkers. Oh well, at least we took profit on one of the trades. We're coming back now again with one of these follow-up signals. So if we're still short, this is a signal that we can take advantage of. We've got the warning dot. We don't have the complete signal yet. Remember, the complete signal prints with a triangle and a hash mark. Or you can just wait for the cloud crossover signal. That will be the #1 signal that's going to print. So I'm just getting ready here on the sell button. I've got the warning dot. There's the signal. The signal has engaged, so I'll try to short it again. Oh, and I should actually place my stop. Give myself a proper stop. Come on. Give me one more push lower. So what I'm looking at happening now is, now that we've retested the highs, the market is trying to break the lows. A reaction to the breakout to be expected. But we're going to get a little bit of a cloud crossover here. You see how the clouds are starting to cross? As they cross more, we're going to get a little bit more of a pullback. And then we'll see whether the market will support the new trend to the short side. That will produce a #1 signal to sell. This signal that I'm doing here is just a continuation of my earlier signal, but I got stopped out on the little hiccup. So you could even interpret this as an early cloud crossover signal, the signal that's just produced. The cloud's not fully crossed, just beginning to cross, but we've had that little bit of a pullback, and the market trying to support the new direction hasn't actually engage the signal just yet. Okay, here come the buyers now with a pretty strong little push up. We'll see whether the sellers can regain the market at this point. It's pretty important that they do. Got ourselves a little bit of a mixed bag here at the moment. The hawk looking very broken up, a lot of yellow bars, filter breaking up quite a bit. Come on. All right, I think I'm going to roll my stop in a couple of ticks, maybe just set it here above this primary, or pardon me, the secondary resistance line, courtesy our support and resistance suite. At least we got a little bit of volatility in today's session. Yesterday was, oh my goodness, it was dull. The big challenge for the market right now, these lows here at around the 64.10 area, if we can see the market get below there, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. Come on. If we're going to be heading lower, we need to be spending some downward momentum here. Doggone it, don't bounce again. So what's the low of this bar? 64.11 half. All right, we need to see 64.11 quarter. And I think that might spark a little bit of selling if we can get it. Come on. Here, I don't like to influence the market this way, but I'll pull the prices down with my mouse. Here we go. Come on. Get down here. Wow. That's crazy. All right, I'm going to bring my stops in now above this little swing high. That's right here. I can also use the automated stops from the trade manager. I don't want it to roll my stops too quickly, however, which is why I'm opting for the manual roll. Oops, I think I'm going to get tagged. If the sellers don't show up in a hurry here. Well, I guess it was a little ambitious trying to climb on board for the second leg. You can give the market, a little bit more room if you like. chances are, if it's going to fail here, it's also going to fail here. My concern is that the market has a tendency just to break highs like this by a tick or two and then reverse, just like that. Brett is asking, I have a question. Is the trade manager going to be offered for NinjaTrader 8 at any time in the future? Funny you should mention that, Brett, because Adam came into the trading room yesterday and specifically spoke to that issue. For those of you who were not in the trading room yesterday, here's the deal with NinjaTrader 8. They've essentially rewritten the graphic interface on NinjaTrader, and it's really thrown a wrench into the trade manager. The trade manager has had to be reprogrammed from scratch to accommodate NinjaTrader 8. Compound that with the issue that NinjaTrader 8 is not stable yet. I know it's the download of choice when you go to NinjaTrader, but in actual fact, it's not a stable platform yet. So every couple of weeks, they're releasing another Ninja 8 update. Well, apparently, the programmers had just rewritten Ninja 8, and yesterday, Ninja released yet another update to Ninja 8, and it totally screwed over the new programming for Trade Manager. So it's been frustrating to say the least. The truth of the matter is, once Ninja 8 is stable, the indicator warehouse programmers will be able to program for it. But so long as it keeps flip-flopping around like this, it's making it nearly impossible for us to program for it. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is I have no idea when that will be. We hoped to have a stable trade manager last March, and here it is November, pushing December. The truth of the matter is Ninja 8 is it's got some cool features. Most of them are cosmetic. They're mostly graphically oriented. They are not going to change anything with your DTS or Raptor system, other than maybe screw up your trade manager. Yeah, Scott says, if 8 can be taken back to 7, maybe a video of how to do it. I just don't see why 8. I've shared this with you guys before as well. I'm notoriously slow for adopting new platforms. I honestly think I was the last person in the world to be running Ninja 6.5. I had to upgrade to Ninja 7 because, well, various reasons, but I'm really one that prefers to be working a stable platform, even if it's a little bit older. I don't need to have the latest shiny new toy. here's something that a lot of people don't know about software developers as well. It used to be, you go back even in recent time, 3, 4, 5 years ago, the programmers would try to debug the software before they released it to the public. Nope, not anymore. That's right. They'll get beta versions out there, and they'll have people help them find the bugs. But they've even eliminated, to a large part, that step, and they'll just release the software now and fix the bugs as people report them. So that's right. The end users get to do the debugging for the programmers, which hardly seems fair, but I don't want to be one of those people, especially in a trading platform. It's different if I were using, say, a word processor or something, but trading software, no, that's a little too sensitive. But back to Scott's question about moving back to Ninja 7, I do believe you can get the Ninja 7 download still. I'm just trying to find it. You can always shoot Ninja an email as well. They used to have a search. I'm just looking at the NinjaTrader website. They used to have a search button on here somewhere. Yeah, they want your email, but somewhere in here there's supposed to be the Ninja 7 download. You know what? If you're really stuck for it, send me an email, because I still have the executing file for Ninja 7, and I can just pass it along to you. All right, after losing a lot of steam here, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a tick to the upside, so I got stopped out of that trade. Again, a little bit ambitious on my part. Scott asks, do you unload Ninja 8 and then reload? Yes. Yeah, I think when you're moving back, you have to remove the more current version. But again, it doesn't hurt to send NinjaTrader support an email. They'll walk you through it. They're really quite good about it. All right, well, that was unfortunate. Started off well and then dug myself a little bit of a hole. Okay, so they don't want to head lower. We're getting a first micro-macro cross higher. You could interpret this signal here on your Raptor as well as a hard edge bounce. This would be what we would refer to as one of those advanced type signals. Because the market's a little bit sideways here, a second push entry might be advisable. Second push simply means we allow the signal to engage. Then we see where it reacts. and then we look to enter above or below that range. All right, so we'll see whether we get any follow through now here to the long side. And I'm going to move my profit objective a little bit out of the way. I'll adjust that if the market actually takes out the highs of the morning. And now they're starting to falter again. So that's just the kind of day it is right now. Very similar to yesterday. Not much in the follow-through department. Getting now a first micro-macro cross to the upside. Hasn't triggered just yet, but the signal is there. A couple late filter entry slash trend change signals here in the Falcon. So the Falcon looking moderately bullish. Yeah, I noticed that too. Floyd said yesterday the market moved as soon as you left. Maybe they're waiting on me to leave again today. not much going on here at the moment as they're still trying to figure out which way they want to go from here. You can tell the choppy nature of the market. Look at the hawk here. We're getting all these yellow bars cropping up. They're printing more or less at the same price level. That just defines choppiness, that we're stuck sideways. Yeah, Anthony, very bullish. Yeah, I think you could be right. Anthony says it's a buy and long position till the end of the year, and a buy position till Christmas. You know, it's true. The stock market does tend to rally into the end of the year, and then very often in the new year, uh, the first or second week of the new year, we'll see a little bit of a correction. But yeah, you could be right about that. Floyd says, tomorrow expect a lot of chop. Yellen speaks plus a crude report. Yes, well, it does seem to be par for the course lately, doesn't it? Okay, the Falcon producing another late filter entry signal to the long side. The late filter entry occurs when your filter goes out of sync comes back into sync. The trend line itself never changes color. But we've also produced two other late filter entry signals. I don't like to see this many late filter entry signals, one right after the other. The first one tends to be the most reliable. The second one, okay, but when you start to get into number 3 and number 4, again, that just kind of screams sideways market to you. promising to start, and now nothing. The market really consolidating. In fact, you could even draw yourself a little triangle-like formation, and that would be fairly accurate. A little consolidation pattern that we have going on. Paul says the Democrats and Republicans are meeting today with Trump. Well, yeah, hopefully that'll iron a few things out with the markets. Mark says November is going out quietly compared to October for sure. I've taken 2 trades this morning, each for 2 contracts, and I've adjusted my profit targets down to the Falcon to $75. I'm up 300 on the day, but it's been tough going. It certainly has. It's slim pickings. I really thought with that little burst that we saw out of the gate that we were going to see something going on today, but nope, not yet. A lot more yellow bars here in the hawk again. We do have a slight upward drift, but really is a 50-50 trade from here. Oh my, no wonder it's really wound down. Keith says the Fred Chair nominee testimony going on now. Not sure why that would bring the markets to a standstill. I thought it was pretty much a rubber stamp kind of deal, but maybe not. Scott writes, I only sat through the whole market a couple of days and just about pulled my hair out. It's so hard to just sit there. You know, you'll learn to recognize that some days are worth trading and others are just not worthwhile. You may as well, if you want, you can set an order, set it and forget it, go do something else. Just make sure you have an active stop in play. Or better yet, just forget about it. Just resign yourself to the fact the market isn't going to do anything today and call it a day. If it wasn't for the trading room, I would have packed up shop here already. Rod asks, if there is a buyer and seller for every transaction, how does the cumulative volume delta become positive or negative? Now, I need to preface my answer with telling you that I'm not an expert on the cumulative volume delta. However, it is a volume-based indicator, and what volume-based indicators like cumulative volume, on-balance volume, money flow, those types of indicators, what they try to do is they try to skew the volume in relation to the bar. So in other words, since we got nothing going on here, let's take the daily NASDAQ chart and we'll throw the most basic of cumulative volume indicators on there, namely the on-balance volume. It was the first and still one of the best. What it does is it assigns a value given how the market closes. So if the market closes bullish, it assigns all that volume to the buyers. That's why OBV will tick up. Cumulative volume does a similar thing, except it also tries to account for the sellers of that day. But what it does is it takes what did price do that day relative to the volume. Does that make sense? So if price went up, even though there's an equal number of buyers and sellers, the buyers were correct, so it's going to assign a positive value. If the volume is down, or the indicator is down, that means that there has been more selling pressure in terms of the market ticking lower. Not in there being more sellers than buyers, just that the result on the day has been that the market's been heading higher or lower. So you see here on the OBV, we saw this decline through here. Well, it's because the on-balance volume indicator assigned negative volume for each of these days where the market closed lower than it opened. And then when it closes higher than it opens, well, then it assigns positive value. So I hope that makes sense. What people usually look for in those types of indicators is divergence. So here on OBV, we got very clear divergence. It's heading down, price is heading up. So what that tells you is that at this point, back here, there was a reasonable amount of volume associated with the rally versus this leg through here, where sure, prices are going higher, but the buyers aren't participating. Right? The volume is down to 115,000 from 200,000. That's significant. So it begs the question, what's driving the market up? A lot of people will look at that and say, oh, the market's running on vapors. I'll either stand aside or I'll look to short. That's pretty bearish for a lot of traders. Thanks for asking, Rod, though. It's a good question. I like Mark's comment here, and I'm going to expand on it as well, just while I point out we're finally getting the cloud crossover signal. Woohoo! So the clouds tangled, they become uncrossed, untangled. We had the little pullback, and now we produced the cloud crossover signal. So that's technically cloud crossover. Mark's comment, not every day is a payday. It's the slow days that you either switch to sim and see how you fare without anything at risk, or just take it off and work on your honeydew list or such. It kind of goes back to the whole notion of overtrading. And believe me, this is something that I'm faced with all the time as someone who hosts a trading room and someone who publishes a trading newsletter. There is a lot of pressure on you to find something to talk about, something to trade. And yet, in most cases, especially if you're trading end of day, you'd probably be better off trading 5, 6, 10 times a year versus trying to trade 10 times a month. And likewise for day trading, you'll be better off trading 1, 2, or 3 times a day versus trying to find those 10 trades a day, which is going to be really difficult, by the way. It's such an important lesson and such a difficult lesson to learn. All right, well, this day is going to be a little bit of a wash again. You can see we've got absolutely nothing going on here in the market. It's just too difficult. A trading friend of mine likes to call ranges like this the abattoir. For those of you rusty on your French, that means slaughterhouse. When he sees something like this, he doesn't touch it. He doesn't care if the market breaks out of here and goes screaming higher and he's not in. Why? Well, because he knows that sometime after the market goes screaming higher, it's also going to retest. Now, he may have to wait. He may have to wait hours, maybe even a day or two before he sees that retest, but he will get it, and he will get another chance to enter. If you don't believe me, just go through your charts, see it for yourself. It happens all the time. And it is so much more predictable than trying to trade in here. And certainly a lot less frustrating. Well, folks, unless anyone has any objections, I've got an appointment in about an hour. So if you don't mind, I think we're going to button up the room. I don't think we're missing anything. If you do insist on hanging out here for the day, flip a coin. Honestly, the market is just as likely to go up as it is to go down. Yeah, Mark says the filter on the Falcon looks like a candy cane. Ain't that the truth? With no follow-through, at least not to our high probability targets. That's another clue that the market is not cooperating. You'll get a high probability trade like the trend change signal, the late filter entry, and it just can't reach its high probability profit objective. Right there, it should be telling you there is something wrong on the day. All right, gang, we will get together again tomorrow and give it a whirl. Hopefully the markets will be a little bit more responsive. I'll talk to you then. Bye for now.